Welcome to this month's episode of Peace Drops for the Great Green Wall. This is an initiative of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University. Peace Drops is a meditation initiative to support and bring added value to the African Union and the UN Convention to Combat Desertification's Great Green Wall initiative. This initiative is in the Sahel region of Africa. The Great Green Wall has been called a Great Green Miracle. It is a reforestation and sustainable community development livelihoods initiative spanning 11 countries and almost 8,000 kilometers, from Senegal in the west to Djibouti in the east. Since the Great Green Wall has started, there have been many accomplishments, and millions of people have been positively impacted. Estimates are that 350,000 jobs have been created. In Burkina Faso, for example, 2,800 kilometers of windbreaks and 29,000 hectares of land have been restored. In Ethiopia, more than 5 billion plants and seedlings have been produced. And in Senegal, 72,452 hectares have been reforested, and those numbers keep increasing. People have been transforming in their environments, in the economy, in food security, and in general well-being. Peace Drops, as an added value initiative, is to add values and good energy and self-care to all those working on and caring about the Great Green Wall, the Sahel region, and this entire world we live in. It is our belief that at this time in the world, peace is fundamental to positive change, and other transformations cannot happen if we don't cultivate peace. We need to build peace in the world, in our nations, in our communities, in our families, our relationships, and in ourselves. Building peace in ourselves is the best place to start. This month, for the Peace Drops program, we have a powerful interview with Dr. Emily Sikazwe from Zambia. Emily shares from her vast experience of rural development and human rights work, mostly in Southern Africa, but really all over the world. And she also encourages us to make peace a priority in ourselves, and by talking about peace and engaging in dialogues about peace with our neighbors and our neighboring communities and our neighboring nations. Unless we start there and plant peace cooperatively from the ground up, we will not see peace in the world. This month, we also feature two values that are important for sustainable change, for self-care, and for caring for others. Those are the values of compassion and benevolence and good wishes. Dr. Grace Lopez Charles from Ghana has recorded a lovely commentary of the power of compassion and how needed that is today, not only for others, but even for ourselves. And Dr. Donderitu from South Africa has provided an inspiring reflection and meditation on benevolence and good wishes. So welcome again. Sit comfortably and relax. Turn off and turn away from the distractions of the world. And for the next 30 minutes or so, take some time for yourself, for learning, and for spreading benevolence, compassion, and peace for the world. Thank you for joining us.
I take some time now to rest my mind in stillness, breathing gently. I keep my mind focus on expressing loving compassion on the world in general, and in particular on the challenging work of creating the Great Green Wall of Africa. I take some time to recall that within my being there is a space known as the heart. This is the spiritual heart. In my heart, I have pure feelings, I have love, and I have good wishes in abundance. In my heart, there is truth, positivity, and a sense of joy and lightness. These wonderful feelings in my heart enables me to be truly compassionate to every human being and to all of the natural world. I take some time now to allow the true, pure feelings and compassion to fill my entire being. Moving into stillness, I allow compassion to radiate from my pure heart, making the atmosphere around me charged with compassion for all of humanity, nature, and the elements. A natural flow of love is spreading through me and flowing out into the world. I watch as the power of compassion transforms the desperation into hope, creating a sense of joy where there was despair, bringing healing to the land and to nature, creating abundance where scarcity once prevailed. The power of compassion works quietly and incognito along with those who are tirelessly giving their time and energy to create this great green wonder where ecosystems thrives and food is abundant. Gently, I bring my attention back to the here and now, but with a deep compassion for the people of the Sahel. May they have peace and happiness in their lives.
Plant Peace Everywhere, an interview with Dr. Emily Sikazwe of Zambia. Dr. Sikazwe is an agronomist, an educator, and human rights activist. She's the former executive director of Women for Change, a former electoral commission in Zambia, and the founder of the Nepachuma Memorial Foundation. What has motivated you in your social justice work?
I think that I've always understood social justice and justice for everyone. And so working in the rural communities helped me understand the plight of women, the plight of poor people, the plight of disabled children, the plight of female-headed households, child-headed households during the time of HIV and AIDS, and so on and so forth. That gave me the impetus to do something about the situation. Having worked in agriculture before, I understood how women who don't own land suffer when the cultivation time comes. And so it was necessary to fight for women's rights, but also women's participation in decision-making at all levels. Because as far as I understood, that is what was causing all the injustices that were happening to women and the poor. Yeah, so that continues to motivate me. I'll fight any social justice fight wherever it happens. And a lot is happening now, and we cannot close our eyes to that. And so I wanted to start by thanking the Peace Drops for this initiative, because I think it is more relevant now than ever before. Just the world has to come up and say peace is important. And we join hands and do something about all the injustices to everyone, to all races of the world. Yeah.
Great. What are some of the environmental justice issues experienced today?
In Zambia, for example, we've experienced high temperatures to the tune of 40, something we have never known before. The highest temperatures you find in Zambia would be 30 and below. Now, this year, more than 40 degrees in some parts of the country. And working with rural communities, there are some parts of Zambia that are endemic to droughts. But now you see droughts everywhere. There's no water for the animals, no water for human beings, no water for sanitation, no water for anything, even a small garden. That has impacted women more than anyone else, because we depend on the forest for fruits, for medicinal plants, for even firewood. The women pick dried twigs to use them for cooking. So when you experience droughts like these, women are at a loss of what it is that they can do to make sure that their children are safe, their families are safe. And I'm not seeing any serious policies around that. As Women for Change, at the time I was working there, we had so many, over 700 rural associations that were working towards farming God's way. Don't cut anything if it's not necessary.
Right.
Don't burn grass if there's no need to do that. Don't use trees that provide us shade, that give us honey, that give us all these things. So the cooperatives worked on that very, very well, and they continue to do so. However, the policies that are in place do not favor the initiatives that rural communities are making on their own. I think that if such initiatives were supported by government policy, some changes could be seen.
Why are land rights for women so important?
So land rights for women has been a big fight for a long time, not only in Zambia, but in the SADC countries and also some parts of West Africa. Many communities and many government policies do not support women's access to land. So when you're talking about access and control over our resources as women, and somebody's putting a spin on it and saying women cannot have a right to land, that then becomes a very big issue. And in Zambia, we fought very hard to make sure that there's a policy that says all land in Zambia, 30% of it will be given to women. The other 70 can be shared between those who are doing commercial things, or men and women, or anybody else, but make sure that women have access to that 30% of the land. This was because we realized that women till the land, I myself have done it. Women are the ones who feed the nations and families, yet the issue of access and control was not there. So for example, if I'm planting some peanuts, which I love, on my brother's field, if he decides that next year he's going to farm on it, I have no say over it. I just have to leave. If my husband decides that, okay, you've been growing cotton on this field, now I want to use it, you have no control over it. So that's why we're focusing on access and control. And strangely enough, there's a province in Zambia, in Western Province, where women are given land at birth. Whether you move from the village, you go to another place where your husband is, if you want to come back and till your land, it will be there. If only most tribes did this, the nation will be in a better place. And also, if the policies of giving land to women were strengthened, the situation would be better than it is now. But we have fought for it. There's a policy in place. Implementation might be a little bit poor, but for as long as women understand that there's a policy in existence.
Can smallholder farmers feed the urban areas?
Zambia was fed by small-scale farmers, majority of whom are women. Even cotton growers were small-scale farmers. And Zambia exported a lot of cotton at that time. So the notion that mega farms, mega dams are the ones that feed nations, it is not true. Because, look, we have a lot of commercial farmers in Zambia. They get their maize from whatever acreage they have. They get the yield, they export it. Simple. Exported. So if you're talking about feeding nations, we have to go back to the land where the people are. Because no matter how small that field is, they will get some to eat and get some to sell in order to get some school fees for their children or to pay for health issues. And also, simply to save for a rainy day. This is what our ancestors have done over the years. So to empower communities to grow their own food is the way to go. And rural communities do know that cutting trees is wrong. They understand the environment better than us in town or urban areas. What happens then is government will go to a particular community and sell the land. And so a mega farm comes. And then they get surprised when there's no rain, because the trees have been cut in order to allow for that mega farm to grow whatever it is that they are growing, they get surprised by that. Yet they have specialists trained to make sure that the environment is looked after. Zambia has just won one of the communities in Chingola, in a mining area, has just won a huge, huge compensation from a mining company that was polluting their rivers, that was polluting the whole environment, and children were getting sick and so on. The case has taken a long time, but they won it in the London court. So you can see when communities become vigilant, they can protect their environment. But sometimes communities feel powerless. I think that is where we need to work hard in order to make sure that those things are not happening. If we empower communities to know that agreeing to this mega project is going to make our environment bad, then they can fight on their own. They don't need outsiders to help them. So capacity building of communities to make sure that they understand the importance of their land, the importance of making sure the environment is protected, and that those outsiders that come and grab their land must be stopped is important. So I feel capacity building is one of those things that is important.
What is the relationship between women's rights and other community issues?
Yes, there is a strong relationship. In Women for Change area associations, for example, the women and men, not women only, defended the rights of a widow or a widower to or against property grabbing, which is a practice that happens in some African countries, including mine, that when a spouse dies, all assets go to the husband's family or to the widow's family. And the women's movement fought very hard on this and got a policy that says, if a spouse dies, the home where you lived with your children cannot be grabbed. If you had 4 cars, 2 remain with the widow, 2 you can gift them away to the other family. But this took communities to understand and communities to stand up for each other wherever it was happening. So for me, when we talk about community awareness or community one-stop centers for things like this, that is, to me, very important. We also discussed with communities how we could then protect women from gender-based violence. Communities themselves developed one-stop centers. If a woman is touched in the village, if a girl child is raped in the village, they themselves did citizens' arrests and reported to the police or to the village head person if the police station is very far. So you can see that community-led peace initiatives can work. And if there's anyone who understands dialogues, it is rural communities. They understand dialogues. That's why they have made sure that their communities remain sustainable up to now. So sustainable peace cannot happen without involving communities so that they understand how in the old they lived together with so many different tribes, and yet there was no problem. This issue of peace building cannot be done without community themselves getting involved in it.
What is the value of an initiative like Peace Drops?
When I was reading the profile of Peace Drops, I said to myself, I think that Peace Drops should continue to expand their horizons and outreach in order for communities to be saved from this peacelessness in community. I mean, we're seeing Gaza now and Israel, and all of us are just watching, helpless. There's nothing we can do because superpowers are playing around with people's lives. I don't look at television anymore. I've switched it off because I can't stand it. So I switch off. That is how bad the situation has become. And the world is watching. When the issue around Russia and Ukraine started, everybody was hyping about that. But at the same time, Ethiopia was at war, Sudan at war, and many other African countries were at war. Syria was still at war, but everybody kept quiet. What became important was Russia and Ukraine. So it seems to me that the powerful will always get priority. The less powerful, maybe next time we'll look at your issue. But for now, we are looking at this. It's very interesting to watch, but very sad.
Yeah. Will talking about peace or meditating on peace make a difference?
In times like this, Peace Drops is a very, very important initiative. Once a week, for example, can gather under a tree and talk to each other about peace. It's very, very important. Just gather the elders of the community under a tree, drink water and talk about peace for 1 hour, and make sure that once a week this is done. I don't think we can fail to do that. So I would be one of those that would be interested in working on such a project. I think that village to village, community dialogues, community peace initiatives to gather people and talk about something and plant peace everywhere. And this can be done. I'm sure it can be done. Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm happy that we could talk about peace because really the peacelessness is getting out of hand and we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
Welcome to this meditation on benevolence and good wishes. I settle myself into a comfortable position, gently releasing any tension in any part of my body. I take a deep breath in and I exhale gently and let go of all tension. Bringing my attention to my breathing, I let the gentle movement of air as I breathe in and out remind me of my peaceful nature. I settle into peace, into silence. I remind myself that I'm the living being within this human form, the being of consciousness, the non-physical, thinking, feeling being, the subtle, peaceful being. As I settle into the depth, the peaceful nature of my being, I remind myself that I am a well-wisher for all. It is in my nature to wish everyone a happy, content, and fulfilled state of being, as it is in this state that human life has real value. And in this awareness of my benevolent nature, I see the benevolence in every other human being and the silent, unlimited benevolence of nature. The benevolence of the soil that supports plant growth and billions of creatures that call it home. The benevolence of plant life that provides food and shelter for animal life. The benevolence of the ocean for all the creatures that dwell in it. The benevolence of the sun, whose energy is vital for life on our planet. Now, turning my attention to the Great Green Wall, I see how the benevolence of the human spirit and that of nature have been and continue to work together towards the regeneration of the ecosystems and the socio-economic systems in the Sahel and beyond. I see how the indomitable human spirit is enduring all the challenges towards the success of the Great Green Wall. And in my own way, I pledge to stay on course as well, guided by the inner silent light of my being. I now gently come to the awareness of my unseen reality as a point source of benevolent thought energy residing on the forehead behind my eyes. I understand that just as the benevolent rays of the sun spread and bring benefit wherever they reach, my benevolent thoughts reach whoever I think about, wherever they are, and bring great benefit to them. And so, I gently let the thoughts of my good wishes reach all individuals working for the Great Green Wall and beyond to every human being in the world. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you have a clear, empowered mind that makes the right decisions at all times. Connecting with the Supreme Being of Light, the source of unlimited benevolence, I let the unlimited good wishes and pure feelings from the Supreme reach every human being and all of nature. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of this month's Peace Drops. We hope you feel more peaceful and more connected with your own compassion, your own benevolence and good wishes, and the source of those pure energies. And we're able to send those vibrations out into the world. Thank you to our guest this month, Emily Sikazwe. I'm sure we all learned from her grounded talk on working in rural areas and facilitating dialogues and on planting peace. And thank you to our meditation guides, Grace and John. But most of all, thank you for your contributions to the people and the land of the Sahel where so many are working on issues of regeneration and positive change. Thank you for the drops of peace you shared so generously with the world. This episode of Peace Drops is being released on December 10th, 2023. And it's clear peace is much needed in the world in so many different ways, in so many different places. We are all part of one family. We all deserve respect, mercy, happiness, love. We all deserve compassion, benevolence, and good wishes. And the way to receive that is to give it to others. The way to receive that is to give it to others. And the ability to give those things to others is based on nurturing those things within ourselves. So nurture those qualities within ourselves. Also at this time in the world, over 70,000 people are gathered in Dubai for the COP28 climate conference. They are gathered to discuss protecting and healing our Earth and securing a sustainable future for all and for the planet. Let's take a moment to send some of our positive energy to them. So as they negotiate decisions, they are guided by the spirit of compassion, benevolence, and good wishes. Thank you again for being here and for adding your energy to Peace Drops for the Great Green Wall and for creating a better world. Thank you for taking the time for building capacity in yourself for all you do in the world. Peace Drops is a monthly program offered the second Sunday of every month in both English and French. You can also enjoy past episodes on our YouTube channel playlist and learn more about this and other environmental initiatives of the Brahma Kumaris. We look forward to spending time with you again next month. Peace. Om Shanti. I am a peaceful soul.